Singapore's government is striving to attain 2 to 3% economic growth per annum on average over the next decade to ensure continued opportunities and jobs. And what we see now is an increasingly challenging external landscape marked by rising geopolitical contestation, but also tighter domestic constraints in terms of land, labor, where our population is aging.
According to Enterprise Singapore, there were 2,300 transformative projects launched by companies in 2024, down from 3,000 in 2023. It is possible that companies are paying more attention to immediate issues, such as tech disruptions, instead of longer-term transformative projects. Yet, our companies play a key role in strengthening our economy. How they navigate the current risk environment, which could become the new normal, could shape the future strength of the enterprise landscape.
Budget 2025 offers some relief through tax rebates and wage support, Minister. But the bigger question is, how is the government helping businesses manage costs most sustainably in the long run?
Actually, it's not the role of government to manage businesses' costs. It is the role of businesses to manage their costs. But what is the role of government is to act as a catalyst, to provide grants, financing schemes that catalyze growth for the companies, because growth obviously is what's going to bring revenue and that's going to bring the profits that will come along. So there are a range of things that we would strongly encourage companies to tap on. One is the Productivity Solutions Grant. And if you think about it, that is intended to reduce your costs. Because the greater productivity a company has, I mean, obviously it means more output for less cost, right? So it really needs the company to sit down and ask themselves, what do we need in order to be able to increase productivity? Whether it's in the form of more automation, certain types of systems, software, whatever it is. Apart from just pure productivity, you want to catalyze innovation, something which is completely new, different, out of the box. And for that, I think this budget has got quite a lot of schemes for that. And then obviously putting money into research, into R&D, because you hope that the outcomes of that R&D will be able to benefit companies and businesses, especially in terms of costs, if you can do something more efficiently. But I think the key thing is to see how you can create more value using the resources that you have.
In many of our conversations with our clients, the number one thing that they are concerned about is manpower and talent. A lot of what we hear is they said, oh, I would like to see more help on the ground, and it's always a case of having more quota for foreign workers. But I think beneath that, there is a cry for the talent that they need to help them to manage their business, because the environment itself is changing. We all know that the macro environment is now uncertain, more so because the US is just changing the way they want to trade with the rest of the world. And I think in that environment, a lot of the customers are now saying, so what do I do? Where do I go? And which countries will be hit with what tariffs? I think the good news for us in Singapore is, first and foremost, we will not be on the lists because we have a deficit with the US. But I think it is also an opportunity for us to think about what we can do in the greater space of Asia. And the growth last year for Asia growth, 60% of it actually comes through from the intra-Asia investment and as well as trade. And we are in a part of the region that is growing, and therefore talent becomes really important for our businesses. When you look at the local businesses, the real cost that they are seeing is really from land, rentals, and as well as manpower costs. And supply chain has already shifted somewhat. Yes. From the first term of Trump, and many of them have expanded, especially those in China have gone out to ASEAN. And if you look at the inflation numbers right across, I just came back from Indonesia. I don't hear businesses there talking about costs of doing business. It's actually the growth that they can find in the economy.
You cannot assume that the old playbook still works, right? So it means that companies have to be constantly looking ahead and trying to figure out how to position themselves for that. The answer is really AI will reshape industries. But if the concern is, are you going to lose your job, or is your business going to go under because of AI? The answer is that it depends, because you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to the other person who knows how to use AI and you don't. That's what's going to happen. And the same thing for business. You're going to lose business if the other company is leveraging AI better than you are. So the key really is how can you use AI in a way to be able to A, keep your job, or B, maintain your business and grow. I'll just give you one very simple example, right? With court proceedings, it used to be you do it longhand. Then they have services where they would come and type it out. But that was phenomenally expensive. Any company who's been engaged in litigation using those services, actually for one day it's several thousands of dollars, and if your trial is like 10 days, you're paying a lot of money just for that transcript. But today, you can use AI. You just have the AI there, and then by the end of the meeting, it's given you, it's not just a recording, because the AI is actually thinking and it's summarizing it. It's given you the minutes of meeting, and all you need to do is spend maybe 10, 15 minutes checking through, and so by the end of the meeting, virtually it's done. And think of how much money and time you saved with AI. So the legal industry doesn't go away. Your meetings with the clients will still take place. Your trials still need to take place.
When you look at this particular budget, I'm quite sure a lot of the businesses are wondering, how can I take advantage of it? And they are all saying, can I do it in a modular fashion? Not just sending people away for a week because they can't afford it. And that's what we experienced in DBS. We were able to train during COVID 3,000 of our employees to learn how to use AI by playing a game. More recently, because of Gen AI, we've started to train targeted 13,000 of our employees because their jobs will need to use Gen AI, and we got them in to train on what it means, what Gen AI means, how can you interact Gen AI, how do you reimagine Gen AI, and then map it onto the jobs that they have to create new models. And so in DBS, we started a DBS Spark AI program with ESG last November, and we're happy that as of now, 32 companies have signed up to want to learn how to use Gen AI, and we provide the consultancy and the sharing. So if I look at the loan market in Singapore, for example, last year, the Singapore market for syndicated loans amongst the banks actually grew close to 50% to about $80 billion. And that in itself shows that there is an appetite out there, and many of the financing is actually for data center up north, and also for ourselves in Singapore. The big Changi Airport that is coming out, the more interesting conversation that has been happening is around our equity market, and what can we do with our equity market, and can it be more vibrant? Because there's an irony, Singapore is a wealth hub, and we have trillions of dollars under management in the market by all the wealth banks, but a lot of money don't go back into our market. They all go outside, and the main reason is because they don't see exciting companies being listed on it. And the popular stocks are always the banks, and as well as the REIT, and maybe a few what you call Temasek linked companies that are non-banks. So that's something that needs to change in terms of the nature of the listing that you see on the equity market, and then you get interest coming back.
Sorry, I have a question. This is unscripted, sorry, but I have a question for you.
Yes.
So do you think, with regard to that, there's enough research capability here? Because the funds and people going to put their money would need to know about the project, the region, the environment. do we have enough of that research services and capability here to augment that?
I think on the research side, it's always a chicken and egg as well. Because the reason why research is important is because you want investors to know what's happening with the companies. However, research is very expensive. So if you do research without underlying capital markets activities, then it becomes very expensive to maintain a research company. One of the things that needs to be upgraded, as we talk about skills upgrading, is for owners of businesses to know how to communicate their companies. And if you don't communicate well on what your company is about and the growth plan that you have, then no amount of research is going to yield anything, because you're not going to share much for people to write about. And if you communicate well enough that this is what you're going to show as growth, and you deliver against that growth promise over a period of time, be it 2 years or 3 years, then I think that's where, again, the magic happens.
Minister, are we seeing any particular sector that the government would like to see galvanized in terms of equity market activity? Or is it across the board?
I think it's across the board. We're trying not to sort of pick certain winners, if you like, because there's always a danger you might pick the wrong one or put your bets on the wrong place. What you want to do is spread it around and encourage each sector, each area to push as far as they can go, and then hopefully be able to make a breakthrough in that particular area.